Restaurant went silent, not because of the live piano music that suddenly stopped, but because every eye was drawn to one table. A blonde woman in a flowing strapless dress gasped, clutching her bare hand as though something had been ripped from her soul. The man beside her, dressed in a sharp navy blue suit, leaned forward with an expression that could cut glass. And in between them, a young waitress stood frozen, holding a glittering sapphire ring in her trembling hand. It should have been a simple act: pick up the fallen ring and return it. But the way the waitress stared at it, her lips parted, her eyes wide with recognition, told a different story. This wasn't just a ring. It was the ring. The exact ring that had disappeared from her mother's jewelry box 15 years ago, the ring that her mother swore was stolen while working as a maid in a wealthy household. Her mother had died clutching that memory, telling her daughter, "If you ever see it again, you'll know the truth about who destroyed our family." And now, here it was, on the finger of a woman who smiled like she owned the world. The waitress's hand shook as she looked between the ring and the couple. The blonde's voice snapped like a whip. "Give it back." Her tone was icy, demanding, but beneath it was a flicker of fear. The man's gaze sharpened, scanning the waitress as though he could read her mind. "What's the delay?" he asked. His voice was low, controlled, but dangerous. The waitress wanted to scream, to shout the truth, to expose them both right there in the glittering restaurant where champagne glasses clinked and rich laughter floated around, but her throat tightened. She couldn't. Not yet. The blonde reached out, palm trembling slightly. "My ring," she repeated, softer this time, but more urgent. The waitress's fingers tightened around it, and for a brief second, everyone at the table knew. She wasn't planning to let go. Now pause for a moment. If you were the waitress, holding the one thing that could expose a family's darkest secret, what would you do? Hand it over quietly, or risk everything by speaking up? Drop your answer in the comments, because this decision is where everything begins. Before we go deeper, welcome back to the channel. If you love stories filled with suspense, betrayal, and shocking twists, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next story. Now, let's continue, because what happened next at that restaurant shocked everyone who witnessed it. The waitress finally placed the ring into the blonde's palm, but not without hesitation. She felt her heart pounding as the blonde quickly slipped it back on, her smile forced but triumphant. "Careless of me," the blonde said, glancing at her fiancé as though seeking approval. But the man didn't smile. He kept watching the waitress, his eyes narrowing. Something about her hesitation, the way she lingered on the ring, unsettled him. "What's your name?" he asked. The waitress stiffened. She'd served him before, but he had never once cared to know her name. Tonight was different. "Angela," she whispered. "Angela," he repeated slowly, as though memorizing it. "Strange. You looked at that ring as if you'd seen it before." The blonde shifted uncomfortably. "Darling, don't start." But he didn't look at her. His gaze was still locked on Angela. Angela's chest tightened. She forced a polite smile. "It's a beautiful ring, sir. Hard not to stare." That should have ended it, but he leaned closer, voice barely above a whisper. "Or maybe you know something I don't." Angela stepped back, bowing slightly. "Enjoy your evening." She hurried away, but not fast enough to escape his eyes burning into her back. In the kitchen, Angela gripped the counter so hard her knuckles turned white. Her co-workers bustled around her, unaware that her world had just cracked open. She pulled out her phone, opened the one photo she kept of her mother's hand wearing the exact same ring, and compared it to what she had just seen. No mistake. Same sapphire, same setting, same history of pain. But how had it ended up here? On the finger of a woman who lived a life Angela could only dream of. Her chest burned. She had to know. She had to find out how that ring had moved from her mother's jewelry box to this blonde woman's hand. And she was willing to risk her job, maybe even her life, to get the truth. Angela didn't know it yet, but the choice she made that night would pull her into a storm of lies, betrayal, and secrets powerful enough to destroy an empire. Angela barely slept that night. The memory of the sapphire's cold glimmer kept replaying in her mind. Her mother's words echoed louder than ever. "That ring is cursed. It destroyed me. If you ever see it again, don't stay silent." By morning, Angela had made her decision. She wasn't going to stay silent. She arrived at the restaurant early, hoping to catch the couple if they returned. They always did. People liked them, the wealthy, the powerful. They had routines. And Angela knew that if the blonde flaunted that ring once, she'd flaunt it again. Sure enough, by evening, the couple returned. This time, they weren't alone. They entered with an entourage, two suited men who looked more like bodyguards than friends. The blonde walked in first, the buck laughing too loudly, her ring sparkling under the chandelier. The man followed, silent, scanning the room as though every face was a potential threat. Angela's stomach twisted when their eyes met. He remembered her. Throughout the night, Angela tried to keep a distance, but fate wasn't kind. Near dessert, the blonde snapped her fingers, motioning Angela over. "You, Angela, was it? I want you to bring us the house special. And hurry, I don't like to wait." Angela forced a smile, but inside she was boiling. The blonde had said her name so casually, as if claiming ownership of it, as if Angela were just another servant. When Angela returned with the dish, she caught the man studying her again. This time, his gaze dropped briefly to her phone, which stuck out from her apron pocket. He tilted his head, curious, before returning his attention to his fiancée. Angela quickly retreated, but her heart raced. Had he seen the photo? Later, as she cleared their table, the blonde excused herself to the powder room. The man stayed behind, leaning back in his chair. When Angela reached for a glass, his hand shot out, gripping her wrist, not roughly, but firmly enough to stop her. "You've been watching us," he said quietly. Angela froze. Around them, other diners laughed and chatted, oblivious to the quiet storm brewing at their table. "I watch all my tables," she replied, forcing calm into her voice. "Not like this," he said. His eyes flicked to her apron pocket. "What's on your phone?" Angela's chest tightened. If she told the truth, she'd lose everything. But lying to a man like him felt just as dangerous. "It's personal," she whispered. He smirked faintly. "Then keep it that way." Before Angela could respond, the blonde returned, smiling as though nothing had happened. She slid into her seat, flashing the ring once more. "Shall we go, darling?" The man released Angela's wrist slowly, his eyes still locked on hers. "Yes, let's." As they stood to leave, the blonde gave Angela a final look, dismissive, almost mocking. Angela clenched her fists. She couldn't take it anymore. That night, she followed them. Keeping her distance, she trailed their sleek black car through the city until it stopped outside a towering glass building downtown. A doorman greeted them with a bow. Angela ducked into the shadows, watching as they entered. Inside those walls, she thought, lay the truth. For the next week, Angela investigated. Every break she had, she dug into the couple. The blonde's name was Victoria Harland, an heiress to one of the biggest shipping companies in the country. The man was Damien Cole, a billionaire investor with a reputation for ruthlessness. Together they were a power couple splashed across magazines, envied by many. But beneath the headlines, Angela found whispers, old lawsuits, scandals buried by money. And one name that caught her attention, Evelyn Rivers, her mother. Angela's hands shook as she read the court documents. Years ago, her mother had sued the Harland family, claiming that a piece of jewelry was stolen from her during her time as their maid. The case was thrown out, her mother silenced, shamed, and fired. And now, decades later, here was Victoria Harland, flaunting the very same sapphire ring. Angela felt rage boil inside her. They had stolen her mother's dignity, her livelihood, her life. And now they were laughing over champagne as if none of it mattered. She had to act. But how? Quitting her job wasn't an option. This was the only way she could stay close enough to gather proof. Going to the police was useless. They'd never believe a waitress over billionaires. She needed leverage, and leverage came sooner than she expected. 2 nights later, the couple returned to the restaurant, this time without bodyguards. Angela noticed Victoria sipping too much wine, her laugh louder, her gestures grander. The ring glimmered as she waved her hand carelessly. Damien, however, was silent, brooding. He barely touched his food, his eyes fixed on Victoria with something colder than disapproval. At one point, Victoria leaned across the table and hissed, just loud enough for Angela to hear. "You think you can control me, Damien? Don't forget, I own you." Angela froze. What did that mean? Damien's jaw tightened. "Careful," he muttered. Angela served their dessert, her mind racing. The power dynamic between them wasn't as perfect as it seemed. There were cracks in their empire, And if Angela was clever, she could use those cracks to tear everything apart. As Victoria excused herself once more, Damien caught Angela's arm again. This time, his words chilled her to the bone. "I know who you are, Angela Rivers. And if you don't stop digging into things you don't understand, you'll regret it." Angela's heart stopped. How did he know her last name? Her secret investigation wasn't so secret anymore, and worse, Damien Cole was watching her every move. Angela's knees nearly buckled. Damien Cole had spoken her full name as if he had known her all his life. The hum of the restaurant faded, drowned out by the pounding of her heartbeat. How do you know me?" she whispered. Damien leaned closer, his voice a razor blade wrapped in velvet. "Your mother worked for the Harlans. Don't think for a second we've forgotten her." Angela's throat tightened. He knew everything. But before she could respond, Victoria returned, cheeks flushed with wine, eyes sharp as glass. "What are you two whispering about?" she demanded. Damien released Angela's arm and leaned back smoothly. Nothing important. Victoria's gaze flicked between them, suspicious. She slipped her hand into Damien's and displayed the sapphire ring as if to reassert her dominance. "Then let's go. I'm bored of this place." The couple left, but Angela was left trembling, her mind racing. Damien knew her past, knew her mother's name. That meant he knew the truth about the ring too. So why hadn't he silenced her yet? That question kept Angela awake for nights, until the answer came in the most unexpected way. 3 days later, a black envelope appeared at Angela's locker in the staff room. No name, no sender, just a single card inside. "Meet me at the Old Harbour Pier. Midnight. Come alone." The handwriting was sharp, unmistakable. Damien's. Angela should have been terrified. She should have run. But something inside her, a mixture of anger, grief, and burning curiosity, pulled her toward that pier under the moonlit sky. When she arrived, Damien was already there, hands in his pockets, the waves crashing against the wood. "You came," he said. Angela kept her distance. "What do you want from me?" He studied her for a long moment. "The truth, the same thing you want." Angela blinked. You admit the ring was stolen?" Damien's jaw tightened. "Of course it was. Victoria's father took it years ago. He promised her it was an heirloom, but I know better. I've known since the day I put it on her finger." "Then why marry her? Why lie?" Angela demanded, her voice trembling with rage. Damien stepped closer. "Because sometimes to destroy an empire you have to stand inside it first." Angela froze. "What are you saying?" He leaned in, his eyes dark but steady. "I don't love Victoria. I don't even respect her. I'm waiting, watching, gathering everything I need to bring the Harlan family down. And now, you might be my greatest weapon." Angela staggered back. "Me? You have something I don't," Damien said. "Proof. That photo of your mother with the ring. Her lawsuit, her story. Combine that with what I know, and we can crush them." Angela's mind spun. This was insane. Could she really trust him? The man who had threatened her days ago? "Why should I help you?" she asked. Damien's expression softened, just slightly. "Because it's not just about revenge. It's about justice. Your mother deserved better. So do you." Angela's chest tightened. She thought of her mother's tired eyes, her broken spirit, the way she died still mourning her lost dignity. Maybe this was her chance to finally make it right. But before Angela could answer, a voice cut through the night like shattered glass. "So this is where you've been sneaking off to?" Angela whipped around. Victoria stood at the edge of the pier, her gown fluttering in the wind, her eyes blazing with fury. Behind her, 2 bodyguards emerged from the shadows. "You think I wouldn't find out?" Victoria spat. "You..." She pointed at Angela, her face twisted with rage. "You're nothing but a waitress clinging to your dead mother's lies. And you," she turned on Damien, "you dare betray me?" Damien didn't flinch. "It's over, Victoria. The lies, the games. You've built your empire on stolen bones, and now it's crumbling." Victoria's laugh was sharp and broken. "Do you think anyone will believe you? A bitter fiancée and a maid? Please." Angela stepped forward, her voice shaking but firm. "They'll believe the evidence, the photo, the documents, and the truth that you can't hide forever." For the first time, Victoria's confident mask slipped. Fear flickered in her eyes. The bodyguards moved forward, but Damien raised a hand. "Don't. Not tonight. If you touch her," he gestured to Angela, "the whole world will know by morning." The standoff hung heavy in the air, 3 lives bound by a single cursed sapphire, each one fighting for control. At last, Victoria hissed, "You'll regret this. Both of you." She turned sharply, storming away with her guards. The pier fell silent once more. Angela's legs felt weak. "She won't stop," she whispered. "No," Damien admitted, "but neither will we." For the first time, Angela saw something in his eyes, not just ambition, but determination. Maybe even sincerity. She slipped her phone from her pocket, holding up the photo of her mother's hand wearing the ring. "Then let's finish what she started." Damien nodded. And in that moment, Angela realized this was bigger than her, bigger than Damien, bigger than Victoria's empire. This was about righting a wrong that had festered for decades. The battle ahead would be dangerous, costly, maybe even deadly. But Angela no longer felt afraid, because the truth was finally on her side.